Rogue are desperate to try and pick up a win, but they're against a Spacestation Gaming that have just in a hole blown wide open for them to grab a top 2 spot. So for Johnny, this is going to be a pretty difficult one for them.
Well, we just saw one team from the bottom of the standings keep their, season alive. Rogue, they did this last season, so they have some experience with this. Everybody counting them out and then somehow coming back from a ridiculously bad start. This is the day to find out if they can keep that up, if they're going to beat the team everybody's calling the best in the region right now in the Spacestation Gaming.
And really, I want to look towards Spacestation Gaming and just say, their transformation over this last year has been absolutely phenomenal. They are now, they've gone from a sort of team that you hear their name and you say, okay, probably, 5th to 7th, somewhere around the area. And now whenever you hear Spacestation Gaming's name, you say, that's a top 3 team in North America. That is such a testament to the work effort that we've seen on their side of the field. But if we look over to Rogue, especially now that Cloud9 has picked up a win, this has now become must-win because they're now starting to fall behind those teams.
Yeah, a lot of teams in the middle of the pack are picking up series wins, and even every game win matters in this format, with the main tiebreaker being that game win-loss differential. So this is it for Rogue. I mean, are they going to mirror what C9 have done and rescue their season? They don't have Fireburner on the bench to come and help them out, but they do have new signing Farscaler alongside the 2 RLCS veterans at this point. If Fireburner is going to be the man to save Cloud9, and maybe Kronovi's the man to save Rogue. He goes back just as far. Of course, not many players who are still playing at the top level do.
They would be the revenge of the Battlecast players. That ends up being the case, but we will see as we get ourselves into the series. But Spacestation seem to have a good lock on the offensive pressure to start us off. Booming clear, though, from Farscaler. They're going to need to see lots of those from him as this series goes on, because Spacestation Gaming, they don't go quietly, and they certainly have made a loud impact at the start of this game.
That's great passing. Look at this continuation of the play from Arsenal, and to know to use the ceiling there to get the ball down into the middle quicker, that's a brilliant pass. And if Rogue aren't ready for that, if they're not paying attention to where all 3 players are, and if they're not spreading out in defense, they're going to fall victim to that all day, because Spacestation, they're one of the teams that are so confident moving forward with all 3 players and getting involved in offense.
Rogue now trying to find some sort of response. Just over a minute not to be played. Arsenal, though, uncontested for the ball, and Rogue have been a little bit loose with their possession so far. Happy to boom it quite a few times. Wonder tries to control, but Arsenal already waiting for the ball to come over to him. Now he's got the flip reset. He's so dangerous in these positions. He even had boost to try and continue it. Just mechanical brilliance whenever you look at Spacestation Gaming.
You've got to close down a player like Arsenal as fast as possible when he's in those positions. He's got the ability to land that reset and make something off it. So you need to get up in there in his face. But look at this, Kronovi. He gets up for Rogue's first goal. And that's a cracking pass from Wonder to set it up.
Yeah, just right at him. Kronovi barely had to move. He just had to make sure he got up to it. But slots it past 2 defenders. And Rogue make a quick response.
Now can they keep it up? Rogue, they've been plagued with inconsistency all season. They have to play solid here. They can't allow many mistakes, because you know that Spacestation are likely to force a few. But that is going to be a mistake just as we're talking about it. And it's a nightmare for Rogue, but it doesn't come as too much of a surprise, because we've just seen too much of this all season from them. I mean, Farscaler, he is under pressure there, but he has to do better, and you'd expect him to do better in that position.
I feel like that goal sort of shows a bigger issue when we look at the matchup between these 2 teams. How often are we seeing 2v1s for Spacestation, whilst Rogue have got players sitting so far away? They've got to figure out a quicker way to read these plays.
You're going to get that when you play against Spacestation. We were talking earlier about demo meta. Demo meta might have started to disappear, but definitely not if you're Spacestation Gaming. They are rampant, of course, with that strategy. And just as we were talking about the mistake happen, the Rogue, they can't allow that to happen again. It's a good start, actually, by First, and what a way to redeem yourself. Leaves it out wide open for Wonder, and it's another equalizer for Rogue.
Well, they're certainly chasing this game, but they're keeping up nonetheless. Wonder, he's not going to score many easier than in the RLCS. His first killer just tears the defense apart. So, we're only halfway through the game. 4 goals scored. Defenses are in shambles right now.
Yeah, a couple of very good plays by Rogue offensively. You know, the heavy hits of First Killer are keeping them out of pressure again. As huge clear comes in, look at what's happened to Spacestation. Delayed dodge by Wonder, gets the ball middle, but looks like Spacestation should be okay here. They do have lots of players back, and they've got goal side on the ball. Rogue are actually, they're causing problems in offense. It looks like goals are inevitable for them. First Killer double demo, but now it's Kronovi missing, and it's going to go straight through to first. Spacestation struggling in defense. They're kind of just waiting for Rogue to blunder like they did earlier.
Here is Typical, time to take it all the way! Almost faded it out, XP tries to put underneath. Triple commit, however, from Rogue, and that means it's an open net.
Oh dear, when we talk about Rogue having good synergy, that's not exactly what I had in mind. They did look like synchronized swimmers there, all dodging in the same direction, but ineffectively. You know, it doesn't really hold true that 3 players going at one ball makes you more likely to hit it. They just all flop past that one, and it's Spacestation in front again. They're not picking up a lot of goals here, Shogun, off Rogue misplays.
Rogue have been able to capitalize very quickly afterwards, but that is a miss there from Wonder. So that play is going to go awry. XP just decides to go for net. Why not at this point? Everything seems to be working out offensively. Typical. Little bit of a feint. Puts it off the backboard. Rogue have managed to make 2 comebacks so far. Can they find themselves a third? A minute and 20 currently left in this game. They have already given up possession to Arsenal, who booms the ball and looks to follow. The annoying part about playing against Space Station is they've got so much mechanical skill. Not only does that become a threat to your goal, but taking these aerials up just wastes so much time on the clock.
Yeah, you're right, Shogun. Every time the ball goes high, that clock is running down, and it's playing for Space Station right now. They're trying to dribble the ball out of defense. That's a good cut in field by First. He's passed 2. AXB had to come in and make the challenge there. Wonder had options to his right. He goes for goal, doesn't get the ball past the keeper. Now that's promising for Rogue there. Just like earlier in the game, they're making chances in the final third. If only they could have had their defense functioning at any kind of high level today, we might see a scoreline in their advantage. Again, it's just wide open. Rogue's communication really causing them problems defensively. They need to wake up at that side of the field.
Back to the middle. AXB, he gets there first. Gonna come off the crossbar, and it's an unfortunate own goal. But that will probably put this game beyond Rogue, and it has been calamitous on defense.
Yeah, Kronovi is in an awkward position there. You can't really put too much of the blame on him. It's just a clear ball from Wonder straight towards a Space Station player who's ready to send it on target. And that's the 3rd time this game that Space Station have just picked up a freebie after Rogue gifted them a goal at the offensive side of the field. Should be an easy win from this point, but pretty easy as well for Rogue to figure out what they've got to do better in the next one. They just have to start talking to each other in defense. They need to stop panicking. Because if they play like this, they're not going to get a game against Space Station. They're so clinical, and they're just willing to put so many shots on target when they're given that many opportunities. But, you know, in offense, Rogue actually showed promise. They had their own chances as well.
Yeah, plenty of passing plays coming out from Rogue, but it's more the way that they're playing the ball out of their own side of the field that has become a major issue, because it feels like, and we saw this quite a few times last season, that they're not really looking at where each of their players are going. There was a lot of times last season where they were rushing to get out of their own side of the field. Yeah, they see someone get a half volley, and then suddenly all 3 players are at the halfway line. That's not how it works. You have to hold someone a little bit deeper for the worst case scenario. Worst part here for Rogue is the worst case scenario has happened quite a few times.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Rogue, they were their own worst enemies in that game, and we know they can do better than this. We've seen them play better as individuals and as a team, but against such a consistent team, probably the most consistent team in any RLCS at the moment, Space Station, you can't afford these mistakes. That has to be their game plan from here on. Let's just try and tidy it up. Let's just calm down in defense, because Yes, Space Station are going to be coming at them with demos, with bumps, and with pressure, but the answer is not to panic and give them goals left, right, and center. They've got to fix their problems as soon as possible, Rogue, or else they're going to have a hard one today.
Absolutely, as we do get ourselves into game number 2 momentarily. And it is all work to do for Rogue. They know where it went wrong last game, but can they make the adaptations required? Going to see in this one. However, Space Station, they'll just want more of the same. Pro, down to the other side of the field. They've actually done quite well with this one. It's made it very awkward, but you can see how quickly Space Station Gaming can transition that ball from their danger zone into the opposing side of the field.
Yeah, it was a great knock-on by Sypical to relieve the pressure, and when they get the ball into the Rogue end, it looks so much harder for Rogue to get rid of it, and they're relying on the hard clears to do the job for them. You know, Cloud9 were able to surprise the Sonics earlier in the day by just starting to play a bit faster, and I would want to see the same thing from Rogue. Like, these guys have got good mechanics. Yes, they're against a brilliant mechanical team in Space Station, but they've still got to try and step up to that level if they're going to compete with them today.
It's a good double tap. That's going to put Wonder in an awkward spot. Typical is not to go in. Instead, he's going to wait for his opportunity. And this is going to be somewhere where Rogue are going to have to really live if they want to try and take down Space Station Gaming. Those backboards are going to make it so much easier and so much more cost efficient on boost to deal with these individual air dribbles. So they're going to have to keep an eye out for that and just try and loiter around if they can.
Rogue so far so good. We talked about the last game and their defense being a real problem. Well, they've just played 90 seconds without making any huge blunders. So if they can keep that up, I feel like they're just going to get better and better from here. That's a brilliant demo though by Sypical. He's tried to come back into the play, but he doesn't make contact. And it is another huge hit from First Killer. Gets the ball out of the blue end.
Pronovi to keep this one going. He slow plays. That is a heavy challenge from Sypical over to Arsenal. And we said every single one of these mechanicals, another flip reset. Someone keep a counter of them. Novi, though, he's got a lot of time to try and set something up, but he's just looking for a teammate for the longest time. He does find Wonder. Can Wonder find the net? No, Space Station have got the manpower to keep that one out.
First Killer shoots into the back wall, which was defended there. He had a passing option. Rogue are, trying to fire on net to catch Space Station off guard, but there's always a man ready for that. Definitely want to see more passing from Rogue, but so far they've followed the game 1 solution quite well. There haven't been any big defensive misplays. They're playing a lot more calmly in the face of danger, in the face of pressure. But it does look like it's a matter of time before Space Station find a way through. What a touch by Sypical. It's cleared well by Kronovi.
So awkward to play against our Space Station. Bro, managed to get there in time, but Space Station seem to be figuring out this defensive puzzle. Arsenal, unchallenged, goes straight for net, and he catches Rogue out.
Look at the play off the ball though by Sypical. That is a brilliant touch. He popped the ball so far off the back wall that there's nobody on Rogue ready to attack it, and the placement was good. And we even saw Sypical landing on the goalkeeper on his exit from the play. He's made that incredibly easy for Arsenal in the follow-up. And although it wasn't a Rogue blunder that made it happen, still Space Station getting the goal to take the lead in Game 2.
First Killer up against Sypical. Got himself a little bit of space, but every single member of Space Station's hunting him down. He's still going. And unfortunately for Rogue is that bounce is not going to be a good one to try and follow. First Killer, though, getting a little bit of space for his team. Here's Wonder, doesn't hit the double tap. Chances are going to be few and far between in this series. They're going to need to try and make something of those.
Yeah, it was brilliant by First Killer. He just tried the same trick over and over again, and it kept working, hiding behind the ball and just letting it roll forward. But Space Station, they do look solid. They've, reacted really well to what Rogue have tried to do this game. Whenever the ball's going long, there's somebody all the way back ready for it. When they're trying to bring the ball down, the Space Station are moving in and closing the distance as early as possible. There's only a minute left on the clock for Rogue, and it's been a better game for them, but it's not good enough to beat league leaders Space Station Gaming.
Oh, and that could have been awkward. That was one that you'd want First Killer to be going for. Couldn't quite muster up the courage to do it. Crow gets a little hit, but unfortunately, when those bounce on the floor, they become so much easier to control. Space Station are going to do exactly that. Played all the way out. Now they're into the other side of the field. That is on target, and Wonder has to just dive on in to get himself a save. 30 seconds on the clock, though. Rogue have only got a few more rolls of the dice left. What can they make from this? Kronovi off of the ceiling. Sipical's touch, though, is very heavy. Only Arsenal currently on the goal line. Wonder looks for the set, but it's straight into Arsenal. There was a few other options to try and put that.
Yeah, it's been a solider, more solid rather game for Rogue, but they haven't had the flair. They haven't had that creativity in the final third, and there haven't been many opportunities for them to score. They probably should have stepped up the aggression a while ago, because now they've got no time left, and unless they can score on 0, it's going to be a 2-0 lead for Space Station. Yes, it is, and it's going pretty much the way that we expected. It's unfortunate for Rogue, whose season just keeps on going down and down the drain. At Space Station, on the other hand, they're one of the top teams who are able to stay consistent and win the games that they're supposed to win.
I feel like if you wanted to try and just sell Space Station to somebody and say, okay, this is how this team plays. This game in particular, I think, is a very good one. They were very bumpy, very heavy on just trying to slow the ball down and go for air dribbles. It just was almost a typical Space Station performance. Rogue, you know, they now know that their opponents are not faltering at all. They've got to step up to the plate.
It was just a brilliant solo play by Typical, and you know, Rogue have got that quality on their team. They've got ability on all 3 players to come in and, you know, dismantle a defensive set with, you know, just a great solo play. But they didn't do it. Typical did, and I don't think that pass is going to get as much credit as it deserves, because it was a great little pop off the wall. I don't think many people, or I don't think anybody on the Rogue defense saw that coming. They were getting ready for him to maybe smash it across, and suddenly it's just a light floater off the wall. And Arsenal put the ball in, while Typical also landed on first killer in the goal line. Brilliant assist, and one of the best we've seen all day. If we see more of that from Space Station, I think they're going to sweep this series pretty easily.
Well, they are still currently trying to find their top 2 spot, and it is a very annoying thing about trying to take on Space Station, is just how much they change the pace on you within the single plays. You don't know if they're going to try and just blast the ball at you, if they're going to try and mind game you, but you're the one that has to make the right decision. You don't, they end up scoring. Is this going to be an opportunity? No, nobody around for Rogue to take advantage of it.
Space Station is so unpredictable with their touches. You never know if it's going to be a booming clear or if they're just going to land a flip reset on the ball and slow it right down. But they're excelling in either version of the game, whether it's a fast end-to-end game, whether it's more awkward and slow in the midfield. They look so comfortable, and this is really a great season for them. Everybody's wondering, will Space Station be able to match what they did in the previous season? But actually, they're looking to go one better here. And if they can keep this up, I think they will.
Arsenal got a bit of time. There's a double commit. That'll probably be the end of Rogue's chance of pressure. They're trying to get something going just to buy a bit of time for their teammates to get some boost. Number 1 priority whenever you do end up losing pressure. He's already up first, though. He's going to try and chase this down. Just ends up stealing the boost instead. But now 2 players out. Pro has to cover, and he does it well.
Yeah, Rogue do keep committing to chances that don't look all that tasty. I don't know why they're throwing everybody forward consistently, but that's been the least of their problems today. They've got a really tough task now to reverse through Space Station. I think even harder than what we just saw from Cloud9. Although that was an insanely impressive performance from them. But, you know, it's up to Rogue now to show that they are at that level. Cloud9 reverse sweeping under massive pressure. Can Rogue do the same with a rookie on the roster in first killer? It's going to be tough. I don't think you've got an easier or any harder matchups, I should say. That was almost a goal for Space Station as they just fell through the defense.
Oh, and Arsenal, he's got a chance to try and take it. Instead, leaves it for Sipical. Not enough on the shot to make it any real danger for Rogue. But Rogue are a team that have really made almost a habit of reverse sweeping seasons, let alone series. So they can do it.
They still have a chance to do that. It is still possible. But although they fixed their defensive problems, they look very uninspiring in offense. They just don't have that unpredictability, the creativity that Space Station have had. Game 1, I think they looked great offensively, but the fact that they've taken more care in defense, it's really taken the wind out of their sails in offense. They just don't have the confidence to go in and make plays on the ball. They're going to need that because Spacestation aren't going to give them any freebies. They don't really make those mistakes in defense, or at least they haven't yet. But it's still scoreless game 3. 1 goal could be all it needs for Rogue to start that comeback. We saw what Cloud9 were able to do when they got a goal in their series earlier today. Maybe that's the answer for Rogue.
That's going to be an opportunity. He goes for net XP, though, equal to it. It seems like Spacestation managed to read every single one of these plays so far. Maybe an extra pass would have been the right shout. That's going to be up high as first killer takes his time. I'm going to try and get Pronovi back into a good spot, and that's what that air dribble was attempting to do. Exactly what it achieved as well, but Arsenal's already there. How quick are Spacestation Gaming to getting to these loose balls?
I don't know how Arsenal knew that the ball was going to be falling down into this position. It looked like an aerial 50-50 that could have gone anywhere, but he was just perfectly positioned and reacted immediately to the chance. You know, Rogue are going to be scratching their heads and thinking, how do we stop these guys from scoring? Because they didn't, you know, play that position horribly. It was just an aerial 50-50 into a point-blank range shot. Well played, Arsenal. That's predator instinct that comes with him. The hype man of the team, and now they're just 80 seconds away from sweeping Rogue and just sending themselves to the top of the table with a real statement to the rest of the league.
Gibbs said that they don't lose to anyone worse than them. This is a interesting touch from Wonder. Another goal. Trying to seal the deal for Space Station, and they're looking for it. They're trying to put as much pressure on as they possibly can. Sipical already over the top. Pronovi brought into the play. And first killer knows that he's beat, and that has been a theme for this series for Rogue. Every time they try and get something going, Space Station just that little bit quicker, that little bit sharper.
They just always have a man ready. They're always prepared for everything that Rogue are doing. They've got, you know, just like Sonics did against Cloud9, they've got an answer for everything. But unlike Sonics, they're not letting off and they're not allowing Rogue to surprise them late in a series. This is it now. Rogue have got to do something or else they're going to be losing this. But as we get into the end of the game, it's actually still Space Station creating the better chances.
Yeah, everybody was forward for Rogue. That's going to be up. Wonder has to go, and it's another time that Sipical is quicker than the offensive player. 10 seconds now on the clock. XP off the backboard. Rogue have got to go the entire length of the pitch, but first things first, they've got to make sure they don't concede. Now got to keep it off the floor. Pronovi will try and do that, but it will roll to the floor. Space Station Gaming decimate Rogue.